And we're on. So tonight we're going to be talking about the 2025 housing market and how it could potentially be a brutal market. Also, things that you can do to prepare for the 2025 market and things that I expect for us to see in that market. Again, I'm Kevin Jefferson, the People's Lender. If you guys are new to the channel, do me a huge favor, hit the subscribe button as well as the notification button, which is separate from the subscribe button. So in 2025, in approximately 10 days, we'll be looking at a new presidential administration. In saying that, we expect the market to remain the same as it has been in 2020, was in 2024. Some things that, from data that we've received is that we could potentially see housing prices continue to decline, actually, somewhat because sellers need to sell their home, right? So we'll begin to see some housing prices decline in certain markets, depending on your market, depending on your housing market. We should see some housing prices decline. Also, we will potentially see interest rates declining as over time. So over the course of time, we could potentially see interest rates drop. I don't think it'd be anytime soon in the beginning of 2025. And when I say drop, I don't think we'll see below 5.5, 5.625 interest rates. I think the market is what the market is. And the reason why people will wonder, well, Kevin, why would you say you don't think the rates will drop below 5.75 or 5.625, is simply because of the pullback on buying security-backed mortgages. The government has backed up from purchasing security-backed mortgages, and since they're not one of the biggest investors in that currently, then there's only a certain, price that they'll buy it at, as well as there's only a certain rate that the interest rates would drop at to make it make sense. With Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, who typically buy those, they're quasi-government agencies. They're not necessarily government agencies, but they're agencies that have a relationship with the government. Barring all that, 2025, whether it's President Trump or whoever it would be, you still have to position yourself for home ownership. You still have to be in position. So even if interest rates drop to 2%, are you in a position to purchase a home in 2025? Is your credit in position to purchase a home in 2025? Do you have the necessary debt to income ratio that allows for you to qualify if rates were to drop to 2%? Can you afford a house? Are you set up budget wise to own a home? Are you in position to purchase a home currently? Have you had any lates in the last 12 months? Have you had any repossessions in the last 12 to 24 months? And what does that look like? So, a lot of people are focusing on, hey, well, the market is this, the market is that. However, the market is the market and we can't necessarily dictate it. However, as a home buyer, are you prepared to purchase a home in 2025? If you don't check any of those boxes where your credit's in position, you have money set aside for down payment and or closing costs or something in general, money saved, your debt to income ratio is out of whack, you don't have stable job or stable income, those are all factors that aren't determined by no matter who's the president or what the market's doing. So what I feel as if we need to prepare as consumers and borrowers for whatever the market is. The housing market is going to be what it is. Right now, you can take advantage of the sellers needing to move to another place, and most likely they're willing to contribute some sort of closing costs in your favor. I have access to tons of down payment assistance programs, but the other thing is you have to be willing for a little give and take. in order for us to give you or get you down payment assistance, it's going to cost you something, whether it's time in the house or some sort of payment on that. So while the market is challenging, as well as tax, property taxes increasing, homeowners insurance increasing, interest rates being on the higher side, housing prices being on the higher side. If it is in fact your goal to become a homeowner, you need to position yourself to become a homeowner and then take advantage of whatever possibilities you have the next time you purchase or this market. Well, what do you mean by that, Kevin? I mean, if interest rates are higher now, your rent isn't going to decrease either. So you know, most likely your rent's going to decrease 5% in the next year, you know, or depending on if there's no rent control where you're at, your rent is going to increase over time. Meanwhile, rents are not as cheap as they used to be. So there's not a significant difference or gain in most markets where you're saving hundreds of dollars versus owning a home. What I need for you to do is I need you to prepare yourself a budget, go to annualcreditreport.com and pull your credit. Maybe not even talk to a lender first right off the bat. Go make sure you know what's on your credit. So when you speak to the lender, you can have a educated conversation, meaning you're educating on what's going on with your credit. A lot of times, you know, people want to hold off. They said prices are high, interest rates are high. But, you know, when you look at your credit report and you know your finances, you need to ask yourself this question. Would you be willing to lend yourself money as is? Like as your current situation is, would you be willing to lend yourself funds to purchase a home or lend yourself funds for anything, right? Those are some hard conversations that we definitely need to have with ourselves and each other. But there's always hope. If you attack the problem ahead of time, then you'll be in position to be able to purchase. Well, what do you mean by attacking the problem ahead of time? Look at your credit, get on a budget. If, you know, get on a budget. And if this is, and if it's something that you truly want to do, you'll position yourself to become a homeowner and work on the things that you need to work on in terms of owning. There is criteria and guidelines that you need to have in place in order to even apply, be approved for a mortgage, as well as, be approved for a down payment assistance program. There's a ton of programs out there. They have parameters. Some of them are credit scores, some are income, some are household income, some is just the income of the person who's on the actual application. But you need to position yourself to be ready to purchase a home. And if you're not in position and you feel as though, hey, in XYZ time frame, I want to own a home, I'd start now. If your lease is up in the summertime, right now is the perfect time to start getting in position, because your credit could be in worse or better condition than you thought. There could be some things that you may need to work on, even though you have the credit score. So for instance, I've run across a couple of people recently who have had judgments and liens against them that they were unaware of. And before we can move forward with the home ownership process, they need to address those items. Some say that hey, I paid that and I need to get a copy of it from, the IRS or the state, or, state revenue services. And then there's some people that say, hey, I was unaware that this was even on my credit. So I do advise you to take a look at your credit a couple times a year, with this being the beginning of the year and 2025 being a year that you want to purchase a home. I would definitely go to annualcreditreport.com and pull all 3 credit reports. There is not a credit score attached to it for free. However, you don't need the actual score. You just want to see what's on your credit. Are there any late payments? Something else that I've been running into is people not realizing that during the pandemic, their student loans were still reporting late. When if they were government student loans, they were in forbearance for everyone, and they should not have been reporting late on your credit report. And that's tanking. That's tanked a lot of people's credit scores. You also need to know if your student loans were or if they are federal or private. Like, these are things that we need to do and to know, so that when you go to apply for a loan, you understand why your credit is where it is, or why certain things are being charged to you, or why things are being counted towards your debt to income ratio. So again, we're talking about the housing market, how it could be brutal in 2025. We're talking about how you need to position yourself in 2025 to become a homeowner, so that you can understand what you need to do to become a homeowner. Home ownership is still a great opportunity for you to begin to create wealth for your family, as well as leave a legacy for your family. And at the end of the day, I always say that no matter, how long you live, you need to live somewhere as long as you live. And that's true. If you are out there watching and you have any questions pertaining to, the housing market, being a first-time home buyer, buying a home in 2025, and you want to ask me some questions, definitely jump on in the chat and ask away. I'm here for you to answer questions. We'll talk about the market. Again, this live is, geared towards answering questions for home buyers, giving my take on what I think 2025 will look like in terms of the housing market, some things you can do to prepare for the housing market in 2025 and beyond, 2025, 2026. You want to prepare as soon as possible. I get a lot of people asking, hey, do you think it's too early to start the home buying process? And I'm going to say no, because you want to make sure that you have your credit in position. The earlier you start, the better you can position yourself, right? Things may change during the course of it, and you don't want to wait till the last minute in order to find out if you're in position, or you figuring out, oh, I should have started early. Now I have to wait a whole nother year in order to see about qualifying for a mortgage. So if you have any questions, drop them in the chat. I want to say hello to everyone. And if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button and notifications. I think we give out great information pertaining to the housing market. Also, if you have not already joined the Facebook group, I advise you to join our Facebook group, as well as our newsletter that we put out on a monthly basis. You want to put out, you want to get our free home buyers guide that we have for you by applying for the newsletter. And then every, twice a week, sometimes 3 times a week, we'll send out information on the housing market, lives that we have coming up, videos that we've putting out, and then other important information dealing with the housing market. Also, if you have not, on New Year's Day, I did a 6-hour live talking about the housing market, interviewing. I interviewed someone who spoke on budgets, insurance agents, an attorney who owns an attorney's office, and we talked about closing costs from the attorney's side, as well as the closing costs from the lender standpoint. We talked to real estate agents about the market and in Georgia. We talked to a real estate agent in the Texas, Houston/Austin, Texas area. So I would advise you to go take a look at that video. The link for that video will actually be below. So if you have some time, for sure, you can watch the whole thing. We would love it If you don't have time to watch the whole thing and you just want a specific topic that you want to hear about, I would go to down in the description of that video and go to the chapters and pick out the section you want to hear. And we also talked to an insurance agent who gave tips on different ways that you could, prepare yourself if you're a first-time home buyer or home buyer in general to get a better quote for insurance. And we also went through why insurance is being priced the way it is and how it's affecting the bottom line for home buyers. I wanted to pull up an article on what Zillow says about the home buying market. Let's see. Bear with me, guys. I hadn't shared my screen in a long time. Share screen. Zillow share. So Zillow's housing market predictions for 2025. Zillow predicts more buyers will come out ahead in a bumpy 2025, but unpredictable mortgage rates could cloud. Cloud the picture. Mortgage rates are once again on the spotlight in 2025. A short-lived dip in the 2-year lows prompted renewed optimism for home buyers before the rise in October brought a reminder of their unpredictability. Buying a home in 2024 was surprisingly competitive given how high the affordability hurdle became, and buyers can expect a bit of extra breathing room in 2025 with more inventory looking to set to shake loose. Zillow predicts more active housing market, more buyers gaining the upper hand in 2025, but those hoping to buy or even refinance could buckle up for a bumpy ride. Stay ready to move when conditions are right. Rent affordability is on track to improve next year as long wages continue to grow after a construction boom has erased pressure on rental prices. Expect to see more sales and modestly home price values in 2025 as the market slowly becomes unstuck. Zillow forecasts 2.6% home value growth in 2025, a relatively slow pace that is similar to this year's growth. For existing home sales, Zillow forecasts 4.3 million in the coming year, slightly up from 4.3 in 2023 and a projected 4 million in 2024. So what does this all mean? This just means that in the housing market, we're going to see an uptick in sales, but it may not be immediate, and it is all going to be timing. It's going to depend on when the market or when interest rates make a shift and the proper timing of the market. Now, none of us can time the market perfectly, but that's why in this video I'm saying, hey, position yourself so you're ready. So when that opportunity comes and housing prices are lower or interest rates decrease, that you're in a position and you don't miss out on that window. Now, I always tell people I always tell people that interest rates change on a daily basis multiple times during the day, right? And, there's also going to be periods where the market is good for 2 or 3 weeks. We get a lot of pent up buyers that are pent up that release and come into the market when they hear the interest rates have dropped. The problem is it's not being in position. How can I be in better position, right? Well, you can be in better position by having your documentation ready, your pay stubs, your bank statements, your tax returns, your W-2s, even just having your tax returns on a drive where you could easily download them. your W-2s for the last 2 years, having them ready available so you can download them. Knowing how to access your bank statements from online, or if you still receive them at home, keeping them so you're not ripping them up and throwing them away so you can get them over to the lender. Your pay stubs, being able to access them from your work website or wherever you can get them from. So when that lender asks you for your most recent 30 days of pay stubs, your bank statements, your tax returns, your W-2s, unexpired driver's license, social security card, and or your passport, that you're in position and you can get them to them easily, quickly, so that doesn't delay the process and your process isn't delayed. If you are having issues figuring out where to get those items from, you can reach out to your employer to get your most recent pay stubs or access your most recent pay stubs. I've had clients who didn't know how to access their 401k statement to use as reserves. Figure out how to access the 401k statement, your bank statement from your bank. Order, get online banking and figure out how to do it. The better and easier access you have to your documents will help you along in the process. Let's see, Chanel. Now that's 2025, what's the latest we would be able to submit 2022 and 2023 returns, or should we wait until April when we get 2024 returns? So that's a great question. 2024 returns are not due until April 15th after April 15th of 2025. If you file for an extension until October of 2025, then we need a copy of the extension, and then you just submit your 2022 tax returns federal only and your 2023 tax returns federal only. So waiting until April, you don't have to. Now, if it's after April 15th, you need to make sure you have an extension, and if you don't have an extension, you need those tax returns to be able to submit. In terms of like W-2s or 1099s, those will be due out to employees before the end of January. So if you're a W-2 employee, then you need to submit those W-2s. You should have 2024 available. And if you can't find 2023, you need to figure out how to get 2023 so they're easily available to your lender. Hopefully that answers your question. So again, guys, she brings up a great question. So if you're self-employed and you are going to get an extension for 2024 tax returns, then if you're going to get an extension for 2024 tax returns, then you will need to make sure you have a profit and loss statement available for 2024 so that we can see what your potential income is for 2024. Well, so let me explain. When we look at income on a self-employed person, we look at a 24-month history. So in this case, right now, we're looking at 2022, 2023. We'll take your tax returns from 2022 and 2023, and we will average the income that we can use. Now, let's say that income is averaged out to be $8,000 a month. Then we'll look at your profit and loss statement from 2024 and see, are you currently making $8,000 or more in 2024? If the answer is yes, then we'll be able to utilize that income and be, that average income, and we will be able to qualify you with that average. If in fact you made less per month in 2024, then what we'll do is go with the more conservative income, because you're no longer making that $8,000 a month in 2024 that you averaged over those last 2 years. So that's how we're going to calculate the income. I'm sorry, guys. If you are not self-employed and you are a W-2 worker, then we're going to look at a few things. We're going to, of course, look at your W-2s for 2023, 2024. We're also going to look at your most recent pay stubs that you provide to us, as well as we're going to do something called verification of employment from your employer. That's going to answer any questions that we potentially have about your income. You know, you could have taken some days off during the course of the year already, or the end of last year, and it doesn't show you consistently working 40 hours per pay period as well. You know, so we're going to get a verification from them to say, hey, what does Mr. Buyer typically work? And they will write back what you typically work. They make $20 an hour at 40 hours per pay period. Is this likely to continue? And if you have any type of overtime or bonuses or anything, we're going to get that you have some sort of history, at least a 2-year history of receiving bonuses or receiving overtime, so we can calculate and get you as much qualifying income as possible. So, you know, unless the program that you're utilizing requires for your tax returns, then if you're a W-2 employee, we don't request tax returns. And if you are self-employed, majority of the situations we're going to request tax returns unless you're doing a bank statement loan. So kind of want to reset the room. So we're discussing the housing market, the challenges that we foresee in 2025, but also the bright side of the market, meaning, hey, you know, there's going to be a time period where the market is adjusting, kind of resetting itself, correcting itself, and, you know, things may not change right up front, but as time goes by in the course of the year, that, you know, we'll gradually see changes. We'll gradually see new opportunities available to buyers. We'll see more inventory. You know, certain parts of the country, they're flooded with inventory. Florida has a ton of condos, a ton of inventory. California is starting to get more inventory. Let's say prayers for the people in Los Angeles and surrounding area who lost their homes to the wildfires. That's a different circumstance for them. But there was already a mass exodus of people leaving California as well as leaving New York as well. What if your yearly income is different because of overtime? That's fine if your yearly income is different because of overtime. So let's say, example, you make $65,000 a year. We're going to take that as base income. We're going to look at your base income to be able to prove, okay, Lisa's base income for 2024 was $65,000. And we're going to back that up with the actual W-2. And you're also going to back it up with the verification of employment from your employer as well as pay stubs. Well, on your pay stubs and the verification of employment, it's going to tell us, okay, over the course of the last 2 years, Lisa has made, you know, an extra $1,000 a month on top of her base salary for working overtime. If we can verify that and you have a 2-year history of making that type of overtime, then we're going to use that in overtime. Let's say Lisa also gets a performance bonus, and she's gotten that performance bonus in 24 and 23, and she's gotten it already. We're going to average those two incomes and use that as bonus income. So your salary may be $65,000 a year. However, the fact that you receive bonus and overtime, your actual base pay is going to be less than what your actual year-to-date pay was because you've made that additional income. Hopefully that answered your question. So, while we're actually on the topic of income, that is something that is also a sticking point for people who are looking to purchase. If you currently work two jobs, listen, if you work two jobs, you need to be on both. In order to count the incomes, you need to be on both jobs for 2 years consecutively. It doesn't have to be the same field, but you need to be working the same two jobs. Example, if I have a job and I work for Microsoft and Google, and I've worked for them both for 2 years, then that's sufficient. If I work for Microsoft for 3 years and I worked for Google for 1 year, and then all of a sudden I switch jobs and I want to work for Amazon, then I don't have a 2-year history of working two jobs consecutively with the same two jobs consecutively. So hopefully that makes sense. I always say, if you work two jobs, don't work two jobs and live off of the two job income. Because what happens is people tend to start buying cars, toys, increasing debt. And it's cool that you have two jobs, but utilize that second job to pay down on debt and to be able to save money. Now, there are some people who I've seen had two jobs because that's what they needed to take care of their family. And I'm all for it. However, never take on a second job to make you rich. The second job could be to help sustain or to get you out of a rut. So definitely make sure that if you are working two jobs and you're looking to purchase a home, you have to be consistent. So if you've been on a job for a year and you're looking to use both incomes that you have, that you make from both jobs, then you're going to have to stick it out for the next year to make sure. And you've been on one of them jobs for 1 year, you're going to have, or both for 1 year, you're going to have to stick it out and stay on those jobs in order to use that as qualifying income. If you switch a job and it doesn't matter if it's the same field, it doesn't matter. They want to see a 2-year consistent history with the same two positions. Hopefully that made sense. So, hey guys, I want to kind of reset the room, talking about the housing market in 2025, things that you can do to prepare for the market, no matter whether it's brutal, it's a great market, you still need to be in position. You still need to position yourself for home ownership. If interest rates were to drop in a month to 3%, are you ready? Are you able to purchase a home? Are you in position? Do you have the score you need? Do you have the debt to income ratio? Do you have the work history? Do you have the time on your job? Are you in position to purchase? It's easier to get in position early than to try to scramble at the last minute. I've seen people who have wanted to move, or their landlord decided that he or she wanted to sell the house that they live in, and now all of a sudden they have to scramble. The credit's not right, don't have any money saved, and then they don't know what they're going to do, and they no longer have the opportunity to purchase the home that they are currently living in, or purchase a home in general. So always get yourself in position to purchase. Hold on, guys, I'm taking a few notes. Ideas come to me as I talk, so I want to make sure I take down some notes. All right. If you guys are out there listening and you have questions pertaining to any part of the home ownership process, any questions you have about the 2025 market, anything I can do to help you or aid you in the home ownership process, definitely let me know. In the meantime, if you're in the process of purchasing a home, I have a home buyer's journal to help you journal your journey on the way to home ownership. It's a 90-page comprehensive journal that allows for you to take notes, information, document important documents. To document important documents, questions you should ask your realtor, questions you should ask your lender, information on potential budgets, your house specifications, like what type of house are you looking for. So all of these things are important information. The link to grab this will be below. Definitely worth the investment. I also have my book on student loan debt, no problem. The book is a 106, 108, 106 or 105 page book that takes you through the process of, hey, success stories that I've had as a lender that allow for people to still continue to purchase a home, how they were able to overcome those challenges with currently having student loan debt, whether it was theirs, Parent Plus loans. They thought it was going to be forgiven. It wasn't forgiven. I've helped people anywhere with $5,000 worth of student loan debt to $800,000 student loan debt for a couple. So you definitely want to make sure you get it. We'll have it available. The link for my book and my journal for the website are below. For those of you who have purchased it, I appreciate it. Some people ordered and the orders are on the way. Hopefully you enjoy it. Again, the link will be below to purchase it. The link below, the links will be below to purchase it. Thank you, Chanel. I appreciate it. She's purchased the journal and she has the book as well. She'll be getting the book on tomorrow. If there's any way, if there's any way you guys can support me, because there's many people ask, how can I support you, Kevin? Joining my groups, joining on the lives, those are big ways to support. I've had people give super chats, as well as, purchasing my book, purchasing my journal. The website will be below. So if you want to support, you think it's something that would be helpful to you, I appreciate you in advance. If you think it'd be a great gift for a family member on their birthday, or Christmas is past, but just because you can go ahead and you can, the link below to order the book. The book is $24.88. The journal is $19.88. So I appreciate any love and support you guys have done to this point. So again, the student loan book, student loan debt, no problem, as well as my journal. Also, joining the Facebook group, joining the newsletter, all of those things are available. All of the links will be below to join those groups. I do want to say, be encouraged. Like, home ownership is not easy. It's not easy. Some of you have been talking to for a year, 2, some people 3 years, and just keep going. Like, it's your race. I know you may see friends and family that purchase homes right away or didn't seem like it was a seamless process for them. But, at the end of the day, it's your race. As long as you're moving and taking positive steps towards home ownership, you're putting yourself in a great position to have a great future. And I urge you to not only just look at home ownership in terms of, owning your home and not having to rent, look at it from an investment standpoint as well. I don't talk about it a whole lot in terms of becoming a real estate investor, but I think that's your next step. So if you're listening to the channel and you say, I don't want to own a home for me. I don't want, maybe you buy a rental and you rent out those properties. Again, the most easiest way to get into investment properties is buying, your primary residence, staying there for a year or two, and then leasing it out after you move after a year. Or if it's a multifamily property, to buy the property and live in one side and rent out the other 1, 2, or 3 sides. So you begin to have an investment portfolio. Those of you listening, that's a good question. Those of you listening, how many of you are interested in being a homeowner as well as being an investor? I was actually an investor before I was a homeowner. My mother and I purchased a duplex when I was trying to get into real estate as an agent, and then probably 3 years later, we began to own, investment properties. So, it's a great opportunity both ways. Are you going to get rich from, from rental properties making $200-300 a month? No, it takes a lot of those, but you can change up your trajectory when you're ready to retire. You got the option of saving money from the rental. You got an option of saving money if you live in the property and you rent out the other 3 units, 2 units, or 1 unit. You also have an opportunity to sell those properties off to help you with your retirement. So yes, it can make you rich, but immediately, no, you're not going to be a millionaire immediately from buying 1 or 2 properties. Chanel says, we talked about purchasing and then renting out the home. It's on the table for us. I mean, that's good. I would definitely make sure you either have a good grasp of your market in terms of rent, as well as the rental market within itself, or to make sure just to make sure that you have a great property manager, someone that's going to take care of your property and vet the tenants who are looking to purchase. Vet the tenants who are looking to rent out the property. Again, guys, we are discussing homeownership in 2025, what to expect. I go on record saying I think interest rates will remain the same for a good part of the year, fluctuate throughout the portion of the year, and we may see some relief during the end of the year with interest rates. Again, the real estate market is relative to where you are, and you want to make sure that you pay attention to your local real estate market and not necessarily just focus on the big picture on the national scale of the market. Now, interest rates on the national scale, that's a different story, but in terms of housing prices and how things are actually going in the market, you want to make sure that you have a good grasp of your market. For those of you who have questions, about the market, the link will be below to contact me to get on my schedule for consultation, as well as you can ask questions here while we're here. I'm stumbling because I'm thinking ahead of time. Like, I'm thinking about 2 thoughts. In terms of, right now, what can you do right now? I would say, even if you're a year out, just start gathering documentation. Start gathering your documents. Gather what you can. Learn to access what you can. If you have a 401k option available to you and you're not contributing to your 401k, you might want to take a look at contributing to your 401k and seeing what your company matches. Now it can help you qualify, right? I'm not saying you got to use your 401k to purchase a home. However, if we see that a person has a 401k and they have the ability to liquidate that 401k in case they get into a jam, that helps you more become a better buyer because you have access to funds aside from your down payment and your closing costs. If you work and you have a 403b, then that typically doesn't help. So I know in Georgia with their 403bs, they can't access those funds unless they leave the job. So if you have an IRA, what's the government accounts that they have, and not called 401k, but the government accounts or some type of investment account, stocks and bonds or whatever, something that's liquid, that you can get, definitely keep contributing to it. But definitely if your company matches 401k, I would look into matching those dollars pre-tax and letting your company match it and allow for it to help you purchase a home, even by just showing that you have access to additional funds if needed. Again, we want to make sure that, we are also budgeting. So when I say we want to make sure we're budgeting, we want to make sure that you have your budget in place, seeing what you bring in on a monthly basis, seeing what goes out on a monthly basis, and having that hard decision that you need to make on what needs to be cut so that you can position yourself for home ownership and to be able to save more. There's a lot of ways to save more. When we have a goal in mind, we typically do better. And I think the first thing we need to do is to look at our finances and see where our money is. If there's more month than money, then we need to figure out how to overcome the more month than money, whether that's picking up a second job. But actually, before you do that, I would say look at your budget and see what you can cut. Like, again, I'll use us, a lot of our money goes towards food. That's whether it's eating out or buying food in the house. Food's expensive. Eggs are high, bread's high, milk. All of those things have increased because of inflation. And then sometimes with our travel schedule, our kids playing sports, we are on the road or moving around or just pooped, and we'll eat out. And sometimes that's more convenient for us. But, looking at that budget, we decided, hey, let's meal prep. So, over the last 3 or 4 days, we've had snow in Georgia, ice. So what we did, we knew it was coming. We made a big push to get food, groceries in the house because Georgia typically shuts down when there's some sort of snow on the ground. And we also meal prepped. So we made 3 different dishes that we could eat and interchangeably eat those dishes. So, even if the pizza people did deliver, then we wouldn't have to worry about ordering out. Now, of course, we got tired and we did get pizza yesterday. But, again, we meal prep. We still have some of that stuff available. And we do that during the course of the year. When we have track and baseball and flag football, we try to prep ahead of time so that we're not trying to figure out what we're going to eat for the week or, spending money frivolously that we don't need to spend because we're too lazy to prep. I said we, not you. I said we were too lazy to prep or didn't plan. We didn't properly plan for the week. So cool. Again, join our Facebook group. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, do me a huge favor, subscribe to the channel. You want to definitely go back and take a look at the 6-hour live I did. Am I asking you to watch 6 hours? No, but I am asking you to take a look at the subjects and pick a topic that you want to look at, and the chapters that take you right there. I think it'd be helpful. I think all the presenters were helpful, from the budgeting the homeowner's insurance, the attorney's office and I going back and forth, breaking down, closing costs, what that is from the attorney standpoint, what that is from the lender standpoint, the current market in the, current housing market in general, right? I think AJ and Natasha both spoke on the housing market in general, and then they specifically spoke about the Houston, Austin market, as well as Tasha speaking about the Atlanta market. So, I think that it's very helpful to hear from real estate agents, hear about the buyer's brokerage agreement, and, you can go and check that out because there's a lot of news. There's a lot of speculation on what it actually is. Is it changing? And then you have what you think it is. And then there is what the market really is about and how it affects the market. So definitely want to check that live out. I also just put out 2 videos about current change, a bill currently on the docket to get rid of mortgage insurance for the life of the loan for FHA, meaning you'll have mortgage insurance, but it just won't be there for 30 years, right? So that's a bill that one of the senators or representatives put into play to see, I don't know, if we can make some changes and help housing be more affordable. So, definitely be on the lookout to see what changes those are. And I thought that was big because a lot of times people don't want to do FHA because they say, hey, I don't want mortgage insurance for the life of the loan. While mortgage insurance is typically a small percentage of what you pay on your monthly payment, people still have a downside to why they don't want to pay it. So if FHA, VA, and USDA get rid of their funding fees or mortgage insurance, it's probably going to be harder for you guys to purchase a home because you don't have anybody to back it. So then you could potentially have to go to conventional financing, and that may put you in a different position because conventional financing, while it is great, it is also not easy to get unless you're positioned properly and your credit is positioned properly. If you guys got any questions, we got like 8 minutes left. If not, I'm gonna end the live early. Again, Home Buyers Journal. The link will be below. I can't reach my book, but I also have my book on student loan debt. The website will be below if you want to purchase it. Here it is. Student loan debt, no problem. How to successfully secure a mortgage with student loan debt. This book is available. I wrote it with you guys in mind. It's actually 96 pages. I'm sorry, I had condensed it. But it's 96 pages of information. Tells you about different programs, how you can potentially set up your student loan debt. It's currently $24.88. You can find it on my website. The website link will be below. And I'll also have it www.peopleslender.com, not thepeopleslender.com, but www.peopleslender.com. That link will be below as well for you guys who are looking, guys or gals who are looking to purchase it. If you have student loan debt, great. It's a great tool for you. If you know somebody who has student loan debt and eventually wants to own a home, I think it's a great tool for them as well. And the journal is 1988. You definitely want to grab it if you're looking to purchase a home. I think it's a great opportunity for you to start journaling your process. And when you become a homeowner, you can actually look back and be like, man, this is what I went through. Again, it has everything from budget information all the way to notes, sections, and then different things you can put in for your utilities, like the name of the utility company for the water, water, electric, gas, internet, phone, cable. You can also put information in here on your HOA. You can put things like for your revised budget, important dates that you have, meaning example, hey, in January the 15th, 2026, I redid my roof, or we painted the downstairs bathroom in February of 2025 after we purchased it. So when you go back to resell it, then you know when you did certain things to the homes for upgrades. Again, that's the Home Buyer's Journal. This is the student loan pamphlet, student loan book, not pamphlet, student loan book. Thank you in advance for those who are going to purchase it. If we don't have any more questions, going once, going twice. I appreciate you guys for joining tonight. Again, hit the subscribe button if you are new to the channel. If you're not new to the channel, give me a huge thumbs up to help push this out to the algorithm, and invite somebody to the channel. You know, don't be selfish and get all this good free information. Invite somebody out to the channel. Next week, I'll be going live, and I'll actually be going live with a gentleman who has security systems. And we're going to go through how important that is for your home, not just because it's securing your home, different benefits it has for you and gives you and your family a sense of safety and a peace of mind when you're home as well as out of town. Again, I'm Kevin Jefferson, the People's Lender. Thank you for joining us tonight. Have a great night.